Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet Torah. We're learning Parsha Toldos, the epic struggle of the two twins of Yaakov, of Jacob, and Aisav, Esau. The battle has been raging between these two mighty empires for thousands of years. I think Hashem gave me this amazing chiddush. So first we're going to see Rivka, their mom, Rebecca, saves the world with a roast beef sandwich, or maybe with shawarma. I don't know. It's incredible. We'll talk all about it soon. So first, let's take a look at where the battle begins, and it begins right, when Rivka's pregnant, when Rebecca's pregnant with the two twins, and we see right away that the epic battle begins. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the psukim here. So this is in Parsha Toldos. It's in the book of Genesis. It's chapter 25, and we have verse 23. And then Rivka, she goes to, I believe, Shem, who was a prophet. So Shem was the son of Noah. He's also called Malki Tzedek. And he is giving her a prophecy of why she feels so much pain as she's pregnant, with her son. She didn't know it was twins at first. So he gives a message from Hashem, and he says, Vayomer Hashem la. So Hashem says to her, Shnei goyim bevitnech. There's two nations in your stomach. Ushnei le'umim mimei ayayich. And there's two peoples, two nations, that are in your stomach or in your insides. So you paredu, that they're going to separate. Right? There's two separate nations in your insides, in your body. Ule'um mile'um yamatz. And from one nation to the other nation, like he will become stronger. And then v'rav yavod sa'ir. And this is the prophecy that the greater one, the older one, the mightier one, Aisav, and Aisav goes on, and his children found the Roman Empire, and that he will eventually serve the Seir, the younger one, Jacob, the Jewish people. Okay, so that's when the battle begins, and then we're going to go a little bit further here in time, and so we see right here, where like Yaakov's holding on to the heel of Aisav, like when they're being born, and that gets us into the Ikvos Mashiach, like Yaakov's name, it means Akev, it means heel. This is the footsteps of Mashiach. And then we see Vayigdu Hanaarim, Vayihiyu Aisav Ish Yodea Sayid. So the boys grew up, and then Aisav, he became a skillful hunter. He became a man that knows Sayid, how to trap, how to hunt. And he's an Ish Sadeh, he's a man of the field. So he was an outdoorsman, he was a hunter, a sportsman, a jock, But then Vayakov Ish Tam. But Yaakov, he was pure. He was, he had good midos. He was very, a nice yeshiva bucker. And Yoshev Ochalim. And he lived in the tents. And what's that mean? He learned in the tent. He learned Torah from his father Yitzchak in his yeshiva, in his tent. And he learned from his grandfather Avraham, in his yeshiva, and then eventually we're going to see that he goes for 14 years to the yeshiva Shem and Eber. So he's the yeshiva bucker. Yaakov is the Torah student. And then this is very interesting. So v'ye'achav Yitzchak es Aisav. So Yitzchak loves Aisav. So the Or Gedalia says something fascinating. So we learn in the Zera Kodesh that Yitzchak, he was the chesed of Gevurah. So he was the kindness and love of strength and self-control. And then he had this gavora, he had this strength that he was able at the age of 37, to just willingly be bound at the Akedah, and he was going to let his father, who was, was he like, 99-year-old man? No, it was beyond that. But he was going to let his father, really elderly father, sacrificing, that's what Hashem commanded. So Yitzhak had this great gavora and self-control. But then Aisav, he was Gevurah of Gevurah. So it says, the Or Gedalia says that Aisav was all Ra. He was all filled with evil, and he just had some Kedusha, some Tov, some holiness from his lips outward. So he could speak, we're going to see, so he had power in his speech. And Yitzhak loved Aisav because he loved the Avoda. He loved what Aesav's life was supposed to be. He loved the work, the fight that Esau was going to have to do, and Esau was going to have to use the Divrei Torah, the words of Torah, to remove all the Ra from himself and to become Tov. So if Esau had passed this test, it's very fascinating. He was supposed to marry Leah, and he would have, and they would have had, and Esav and Leah, they would have give birth to the six of the 12 tribes. So it's like the mighty warrior tribes, the kings, like the tribes of Yehuda, the mighty warriors from the tribes of Reuven and Gad. So all the mighty tribes, the warrior tribes, the kings would have come from Esav and Leah. And then all the students, the yeshiva bakrim, the Rosh Yeshivas, they would have come from Yaakov and Leah. I mean Rachel, so Jacob and Rachel. And so then we see tribes like, Levi and Yisachar and all those type of tribes. Okay, so but Yitzchak, he loved Esav, he loved like the mission that Esav had in life, and also because Ki Said Bepiv, Asaph could trap with his mouth. He was like a great politician. He knew how to tell people exactly what they want to hear. He sounded like a really, really holy, Torah yeshiva guy. And he would ask like crazy questions like, how do you meiser salt, which you don't have to do. So he sounded very holy. And he kind of trapped also Yitzhak. He trapped Yitzhak's heart. Also, he trapped Isaac's heart. But Rivka, Oheves es Yaakov. Now, Rebecca, so her father was the wicked Lavan, whose name literally means white. So he was like, don't trust Whitey. It's like Gil Scott Heron, Whitey on the moon. A rat just bit my sister, Nell, but Whitey on the moon. So it's like Lavan's the classic, Whitey. He would take advantage of people. So she knew people that were dishonest. She knew people that pretended to be good on the surface, but were really trying to steal from other people and trick other people. So she loved the holiness, the righteousness of Yaakov, of Jacob, her son Jacob. So she kind of knew. She knew from the family she came from. She knew. She saw through Esav's, his lies. So then, Vayazed Yaakov Nazid. So Yaakov, he was cooking a stew. So this is when the boys were both 15 years old, and Abraham, the great Abraham Avinu, he was nifter. He passed away, and Yaakov was preparing a meal of mourning for his father, for Yitzhak. And then Aisav min hasadeh v'hu ayef. And Aisav came from the field, and he was tired. And the Midrash says that he committed 5 horrible averas that day. He committed the 3 worst. He committed a rayus. It says he had relations with a married woman. He committed shifchus damim, murder. He murdered he's either the son or the grandson of Nimrod, was also named Nimrod. And Nimrod had the special snake skin, I believe it was snake skin, clothes made by Hashem for Adam Arishon, for Adam, and the animals were attracted to these special garments, and then they could hunt them. And so Esau killed Nimrod to take these special garments. And then he committed avodah zarah. He worshipped idol worship. And then I forgot what the other 2 are right now. But he committed these 5 horrible averas on the day Abraham dies. And then Esau, so Vayomer Esav el Yaakov. So then Esau, he says to Yaakov, he says, how na min ha'adom. So Yaakov was making lentils, red lentils, and it's like they're circles. So it's mourner's food because it reminds people of the circle of life. Like just as the soul comes in the world and is born, and then the soul goes out of the body and it dies, but then it's a Gilgal, it can come back into the world as another like reincarnation, and then finally it's a Chiyas HaMesim, and then finally it'll be the resurrection of the dead. So it's the circle of life. So he's making the lentils, they're traditional food in the mourners, and then Esau's like, pour that red stuff down my throat. And he says, Ha'adom hazeh, like this red stuff. And he says, Ki ayef anochi, like I am exhausted, I am famished. He was famished from all the sin he was doing. So Al Kain Kara Shemo Edom. And now, note this, very interesting. Now he's called Edom. Now he's called red. All right, watch out for the reds, right? So then, Vayomer Yaakov, Mikra Kayom Es Bechor Secha Li. So Yaakov, he says, sell me your birthright. I'll give you, the meal to eat, but sell me your birthright. And then, Vayomer Esav, Hine Anochi Holech Lamus. So Esav now, he says he's going to die. So Valam Ezet Li Bechorah. So now he was renouncing Olam Haba. He was renouncing the Torah and the mitzvos. And he says, like, I'm going to die. What use is the Bechorah to me? Like, why do I want to have the Avoda? Why do I want to bring offerings to Hashem, Chas v'sham? So Esau, he was like, now he was like Kofer Be'ikr. He became an Apicorsis. He became a heretic. And this all happened. So then So then Yaakov says, "Is V'yomer Yaakov, he shava li kayom, he says, swear to me today, mi shava lo," and he swears to him, "Vayim kores b'choraso Yaakov," and then Esau sells his birthright to Yaakov. Okay, it's getting pretty exciting so far. So that's the first part. Now here's the real chiddush. So then Rivka helps Yaakov um, to dress up. So he puts on a costume. He puts on an Aisav costume to go into his father, right? To go into his father and get his father Yitzchak and get the bracha, get the blessing that should go to the Bechor, the firstborn. All right, so what day do we wear costumes? And what day has the power to switch it from Edom, from Aisav to Yaakov? You know, the world's upside down. What has the power? I'll give you a hint. Hafachachu. What day, what special holiday has the power of switching it, to switch the power, you know, from Aisav to Yaakov? So you haven't guessed, I'm going to tell you at the end, but let's take a look at what happens when Yaakov goes in to get the blessing from his father Yitzchak. So then he goes in, and it says, so this is in chapter 27. So Vayovel o Aviv. So Yaakov goes into his father. But Yomer Avi, he says, my father. But Yomer Hineni. And says, yes. Simiata b'ni. So which of my sons are you? Who are you, my son? So then he says, Vayomer Yaakov el Aviv. So Yaakov, he says to his father, Anochi Esa b'chorecha. Right? So Yaakov says, I am Aisav, your firstborn. Now, here's the interesting thing. Rashi answers this way. So Rashi says that what Yaakov's saying is Ani, like I am Yaakov, and Aisav is your Bechor. Okay, so I want to. This is my kiddush, and this is very interesting. So I want to say, because Yaakov is he is the living embodiment of the Sephira of Tiferes, of Emes, of truth. And I'm going to say here that what Yaakov is saying here is 100% true. It's emes. And that's also why we see the switch that Aisav has become Edom, right? Asav's now, like, he's become a kofar be'ikr, he's become a heretic, and he's now going to start the Roman Empire. So Asav's become Edom, and then Yaakov has become Aisav. So the word Aisav, what does it mean? It means like made. Like we live in the world of Asiya, the world of making, right? So it says, the Midrash says that Aisav came out like he was already made. Like he was this little baby, had the beard already, he had hair. He looked like a little man, like even when he was a little baby. But now what I'm going to say is that Yaakov's become Aisav. He's become made, and this is like what we call a self-made man. Through all his work of learning the Torah, for doing all the mitzvos, for working, fixing his midos, for perfecting himself and growing spiritually, now Yaakov has made himself. So when he says, Anochi Aisav, he's telling the truth, and I'll show you why he is Aisav. And Bechoreka, he is the Bechor now, because he's bought the Bechor, right? He's bought the Bechor from Aisav. So now he's become the Bechor. Okay, so it's very fascinating. So now, let me try to find the other pasuk here. So we're going to hear his father. So Yitzchak says this. It says, Vayigash Yaakov. And Yaakov drew close. Vayigash Yaakov el Yitzchak. And Yaakov drew close to Yitzchak, Aviv, his father. V'ya mushehu. And Yitzchak, he felt him. He said, Vayomer. He says, Hakol kol Yaakov. The voice is the voice of Yaakov. This is the voice that, sings, the beautiful music of the Torah. He lanes the Torah from the Sefer Torah. Beautiful voice. He's singing Tehillim and Hallel and the Tefillah, the davening. This is the voice. This is the voice is learning Torah, the Divrei Torah that's pouring. And this is the voice of Yaakov. But then he says, V'hayadayim yedei Esau. But also the hands are the hands of Esau. Because now Yaakov's also become Aisav. And now he's going to marry Leah. Now he's going to bring not only just 6 tribes, he's going to bring all 12 Shvatim, all 12 tribes of Yisrael. He's going to get the name Yisrael. So now, who marries Leah? Aisav did. Who Aisav was supposed to marry Leah? Who is now Aisav? Yaakov is. So he's both now. He's the Kol of Yaakov, and he's the Yadayim of Aisav. And he's telling the truth. It's Titain Emes Yaakov. Emes, Yaakov is all truth. He's the living embodiment of truth. Like, so here's the other big Hiddush. So it just hit me. Hashem gave me this wondrous idea. What day was it? I gave you a hint before. What day did it all happen? So Rebecca, Rivka, she makes this beautiful like roast beef sandwich or like a shawarma or whatever it is, bringing this beautiful food, the tamim, the delicacy, the gourmet food. And what day we have a big suuda, and we drink some of the red stuff, we drink some of the red wine, and he's wearing an Aisav costume. And I think I haven't found anywhere. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to try to find some hints in the places. But where I think what day did this all happen? When Yaakov gets the bracha from Yitzchak, I think it was Purim. I think this all happened on Purim. So Yaakov is wearing the Purim costume, and it's Hafakaku, and then the world turns back to the right side up, and then Yaakov gets the bracha from Yitzchak, and then Or la Simcha, la Yehudim. It's Purim. I think it's good. I'm going to try to find some more sources to do another video about it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you back again soon. Please like, share, subscribe, give me all your comments, and I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.